Sweetie, stop acting. If you can smile, you can walk. Ma'am, she can't stand. Please, look at her hands. Miss, you're holding up Tria. Sit her down or step aside. The fluorescent lights hummed like they always did. Too bright. Too cold. The girl's name was Aaliyah Brooks, and she was 12. She tried to smile, because the nurse was watching, but the smile shook. Her fingers curled inward, trembling, as if pulled by invisible strings. Her knees buckled. Her mother, Denise Brooks, tightened her grip just in time. I told you, Denise said softly, each word careful. Her condition flares under stress. The nurse glanced at the chart, barely a second. Her badge clicked as she clipped it back into place. There's nothing here that explains this, she said. We see this every night. Aaliyah swallowed. The waiting room smelled like antiseptic and old coffee. A television murmured about traffic on I-5. Somewhere, a monitor beeped, steady and impatient. I can't feel my left foot, Aaliyah whispered. The nurse sighed. Not cruel. Worse, dismissive. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. You don't need to perform. There are people here who are really sick. Denise felt the heat rise in her face. Around them, other patients looked up, then away. No one wanted trouble. No one wanted to be next. There's one thing I haven't told you yet, Denise thought, as her hand brushed the edge of her purse. Aaliyah tried to stand when told. She fell instead, hard. The sound wasn't loud, but it cut through the room. A chair scraped. Someone gasped. The nurse's smile stayed. See? She just needs rest, she said, already turning away. Security can help if. Aaliyah's breath came fast now. Her eyes searched the ceiling lights, blinking back tears. Mom, it's happening again. That sentence changed the air. Denise knelt, pressing her palm to her daughter's shoulder, grounding her. Look at me, baby. Count with me. The nurse stopped. Turned. Annoyance flickered, then something else. Uncertainty. Because Denise had pulled out her phone. The screen was already recording. The red dot glowed, steady as a heartbeat. Around them, the waiting room grew quiet. Even the TV seemed to lower itself. The nurse glanced at the phone, then at Aaliyah's twisted hands, then back at the phone again. This next part changes everything, but not the way anyone expects. Because what the nurse didn't know, what most people miss, is that Aaliyah's condition had been documented. Multiple times. By this very hospital. And someone important was about to walk through those doors. Enjoying this? Tap subscribe for tomorrow's story. The nurse's name was Karen Whitfield, and she had been on her feet for 10 hours. That fact would matter later, but not yet. Right now, she stood frozen, eyes fixed on the phone in Denise Brooks' hand. The red recording dot didn't blink. It didn't accuse. It just existed. You can't record in here, Karen said, voice tightening. Denise didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Then please get a doctor. Right now. Aaliyah lay against her mother's knee, breathing shallow, fingers still locked in that painful curl. Sweat darkened the collar of her hoodie. Her eyes fluttered, fighting to stay focused. Karen looked around. A man with a construction jacket pretended to check his messages. An older woman across the room had stopped knitting. Everyone was listening without looking. This happens, Karen said, choosing each word carefully. Stress responses. Especially with kids. Aaliyah flinched. Denise felt it instantly. There's a neurologist on her care team, Denise replied. Dr. Ellen Markham. Seattle General. You have her records. Karen tapped the computer again. Too fast. Too shallow. Nothing's loading. That's strange, Denise said. Because we were here 6 weeks ago. Same symptoms. Same desk. Karen's jaw set. Ma'am, I need you to calm down. That was the moment. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just a quiet shift, like a door closing somewhere important. Denise stood, keeping the phone steady. My daughter collapsed in your waiting room. You told her she was acting. I did not. You did. Denise's voice stayed even. And it's on video. Karen glanced again at the screen. Around them, the hum of the lights felt louder. Aaliyah groaned softly. Mom, she whispered. My leg's numb. That did it. Karen finally crouched, 2 fingers pressing Aaliyah's wrist. She checked the pulse. Once. Then again. Her face changed. Just a little. Stay here, Karen said, standing quickly. I'll get a wheelchair. She moved fast now. Too fast. Denise watched her go, then lowered the phone slightly, not off. Never off. She knelt again beside Aaliyah. You're okay, Denise murmured. I've got you. But inside, something else was happening. Because Denise hadn't come unprepared. In her purse, right next to her keys, was a folded discharge summary. Highlighted. Signed. Stamped with Seattle General's seal. It listed functional neurological disorder in bold, unmissable letters. She hadn't shown it yet. That was intentional. Because there was one thing Karen didn't know. Aaliyah's last hospital visit had triggered an internal review. A quiet one. The kind that didn't make noise until it did. A security guard appeared with the wheelchair, eyes darting between Denise's phone and Aaliyah's pale face. We'll take her back, he said. As they lifted Aaliyah, her foot dragged uselessly. The guard noticed. So did the man in the construction jacket. So she wasn't acting, he muttered. Not loud. Loud enough. Karen didn't respond. She pushed the chair hard, wheels squeaking as they disappeared through the double doors. Denise followed, heart pounding, but steady. Because if you want the full truth, hit like so this story reaches more people. They passed the triage desk. Past the wall of patient rights posters. Past the small sign Denise had read before but never thought she'd need. All patients have the right to be treated with dignity and respect. As the doors swung shut behind them, Denise glanced once more at her phone. The recording was still running. And somewhere down the hall, a voice was already asking, who handled this patient? The hallway smelled different, cleaner, sharper. Aaliyah noticed it even through the fog in her head. Her body felt split in two, like one side belonged to her, and the other didn't answer anymore. Keep your eyes on me, sweetheart, said the transport nurse, Lydia Perez, walking backward beside the wheelchair. You're doing great. Denise stayed close, one hand on the chair, the other still holding her phone, now lowered, but not locked. She had learned the hard way that moments like this could vanish if you didn't hold on to them. They stopped at a curtain bay. A monitor beeped. Shoes squeaked. Someone called for labs. Karen Whitfield reappeared, breath tight. BP's a little low, she said to no one in particular. We're moving her up. Lydia looked at Aaliyah's hands. At the way her left foot dragged. Then she looked at Denise. Just a glance, but it carried weight. Has this happened before? Lydia asked. Yes, Denise said. Documented. Multiple times. Karen cut in quickly. We're handling it. Lydia didn't argue. She just nodded and pushed the wheelchair forward again. But something had shifted. Inside the exam room, the curtain closed with a soft rip. The lights dimmed slightly. Aaliyah exhaled, a long, shaky breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Mom, she whispered, embarrassed now that the worst had passed. I tried to stand. I know, Denise said, brushing her hair back. You didn't do anything wrong. Aaliyah stared at the ceiling tiles. She thought I was lying. Denise didn't answer right away. She reached into her purse instead. This was the moment she had been waiting for. She unfolded the paper slowly, smoothing the creases. The discharge summary looked ordinary, until you read it. Diagnoses. Dates. Physician signatures. She placed it on the counter. Karen's eyes flicked to it as she adjusted the four-line. Her movements slowed. What's that? She asked. Our paperwork, Denise replied. From this hospital. 6 weeks ago. Karen picked it up. Read the first line. Then the second. Her face strained. Functional neurological disorder. Triggers, emotional stress, perceived threat. Protocol, immediate physician evaluation. No ambulation during flare. Karen swallowed. Why wasn't this flagged? It was, Denise said quietly. I asked about it at the desk. Karen said nothing. She handed the paper back like it burned. There was a pause. An incomplete loop hanging in the air. Then footsteps outside. Firm. Unhurried. The curtain opened. A woman in a white coat stepped in, silver hair pulled back, eyes sharp but calm. Her badge read Dr. Ellen Markham, Neurology. Aaliyah's eyes widened. Mom, that's her. Dr. Markham took in the room in seconds. The paper. Karen's expression. What happened? She asked. Karen opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Denise spoke instead. Clear. Measured. My daughter collapsed in the waiting room. She was told she was acting. Dr. Markham's gaze moved to Karen. Not angry. Worse, precise. I was paged, Dr. Markham said. By security. That landed. Karen stiffened. I didn't. Dr. Markham raised a hand. I'll review the footage. Denise felt a quiet rush of relief and fear. Because there was one more thing she hadn't shared yet. The recording didn't just capture words. It captured witnesses. And if you believe Aaliyah deserved justice, comment justice below. Dr. Markham turned to Denise. Mrs. Brooks, she said gently, I think we need to talk. As the curtain closed again, Denise wondered who else had already seen what happened out front. And whether Karen knew what was coming next. Dr. Markham pulled the curtain fully closed. The room felt smaller instantly. Karen, she said, calm and unmistakably firm. Step outside for a moment. Karen hesitated. Just a beat. Then she nodded and left without a word. The moment the curtain fell back into place, Denise felt her shoulders sag. Not relief, release. The kind that comes after holding yourself upright for too long. Dr. Markham moved to Aaliyah's side, crouching so they were eye level. Hi, Aaliyah. I'm glad you're here. Can you tell me what you're feeling right now? Aaliyah swallowed. My leg feels gone. And my hands won't listen. Dr. Markham nodded, unsurprised. She checked reflexes, grip strength, gently, respectfully. Every touch communicated something Denise hadn't felt in the waiting room. Belief. This is a flare, Dr. Markham said softly. A strong one. But it will pass. Aaliyah's eyes filled. I wasn't pretending. I know, Dr. Markham said immediately. No hesitation. You never were. That sentence landed harder than any accusation earlier. Outside the curtain, voices murmured. A clipboard snapped shut. Shoes paused, then stopped entirely. Dr. Markham straightened and turned to Denise. Security told me there was a disturbance. Denise nodded once. There was. Do you have it recorded? Dr. Markham asked. Denise held up her phone. Another pause. This one heavier. Dr. Markham exhaled slowly. All right, she said. Here's what's going to happen. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. I'm admitting Aaliyah for observation. Neurology protocol. No ambulation until symptoms resolve. Thank you, Denise said. And, Dr. Markham continued, I'll be filing a formal incident report. Denise's grip tightened on the phone. I already started one. Last time. Dr. Markham looked at her sharply. Last time? Denise nodded. Different nurse. Same desk. Same assumptions. That was the moment Dr. Markham's expression changed. Not anger. Recognition. There's one thing most people miss, Dr. Markham said quietly. Patterns. She stepped to the door and opened it just enough. Charge nurse, she called. I need you. A woman named Rebecca Hale appeared, older, eyes alert. Dr. Markham spoke low, but not too low. Pull triage footage from the waiting room, she said. From tonight. And from 6 weeks ago. Same patient. Rebecca blinked. Both? Yes. Rebecca nodded and walked away fast. Denise felt her pulse quicken. This was bigger now. Wider. Dr. Markham turned back. Mrs. Brooks, I want to be clear. This isn't about punishment. Denise met her gaze. It's about dignity. Dr. Markham nodded once. Exactly. Aaliyah shifted, wincing. Denise reached for her hand. Outside, raised voices. Karen's tight and defensive. Another voice, male, authoritative. Then a sentence that cut through the curtain. Ma'am, hospital policy requires cooperation during a review. Denise's breath caught. Because reviews had witnesses. And witnesses talked. If you want to see all targets hit at once, type yes in the comments. Dr. Markham glanced at the curtain, then back to Denise. I'm going to ask you something difficult. Denise braced. When this goes forward, Dr. Markham said, are you prepared for attention? Denise thought of the waiting room. The scraped chair. The glowing red dot. I didn't come here for attention, she said. I came here for care. Dr. Markham gave a thin, approving smile. Then let's make sure you get both. Outside, the arguing stopped. Silence followed. And silence, Denise knew, was never empty. The silence outside the curtain stretched. Aaliyah felt it before she heard anything, her body responding to tension the way it always did. Her fingers twitched. The numbness in her leg pulsed like static. Mom, she whispered. I'm scared. Denise leaned closer, lowering her voice. I know. But you're safe right now. Dr. Markham adjusted the monitor and dimmed the lights another notch. Your nervous system is stuck in high alert, she explained gently. We're going to help it settle. Aaliyah nodded, trusting her in a way she hadn't trusted anyone at the front desk. Outside, footsteps resumed. Slower now. Controlled. Then the curtain rustled again. Michael Reeves, the hospital's operations manager, stepped in. Late 40s. Neat tie. Calm face that had learned how to absorb problems without showing strain. Dr. Markham, he said. Mrs. Brooks. Denise stood. Not confrontational. Present. We're initiating a review. Michael continued. Security preserved the footage. We'll also need any recordings you have. Denise held up her phone. You'll get a copy. Michael nodded. Thank you. Karen Whitfield stood just outside the curtain, partially visible. Her arms were crossed now. Her face was rigid, not defiant but braced. Michael glanced at her, then back at Denise. I want to apologize for your experience. Denise studied him. Is this apology on the record? A beat. Yes, Michael said. That mattered. Dr. Markham spoke next. This isn't an isolated clinical disagreement, she said. It's a protocol failure. Michael's jaw tightened. Understood. Karen shifted. I followed triage guidelines, she said quickly. She was responsive. Ambulatory. She collapsed, Denise said. Calm. Clear. In front of witnesses. Karen opened her mouth again. Michael raised a hand. This isn't the time. Karen fell silent. Another incomplete loop closed, and a new one opened. Michael turned to Denise. There's something else you should know. Denise felt her stomach drop. Go on. We've had 2 similar complaints in the last quarter, he said. Different patients. Same area. Dr. Markham's eyes sharpened. Both neurological? One confirmed. One pending. Denise exhaled slowly. This wasn't just about Aaliyah anymore. Michael continued. We're placing Karen on administrative leave pending review. Karen's head snapped up. You can't. Not a termination, Michael said evenly. A pause. Karen's mouth closed. Her eyes flicked, once, to Denise's phone. That was fear. Dr. Markham placed a reassuring hand on Denise's arm. Mrs. Brooks, you'll be offered a patient advocate and counseling support for Aaliyah. Denise nodded. Thank you. Aaliyah squeezed her mother's hand. Am I in trouble? No, baby, Denise said. You did nothing wrong. Michael cleared his throat. There may be requests for statements. Denise met his gaze. We'll cooperate. Because there was still one thing Denise hadn't said out loud. The video didn't just show what Karen said. It showed what happened after, when Aaliyah fell. And how long it took anyone to help. Dr. Markham glanced at the phone. Have you shared it with anyone yet? Denise hesitated. Just a second. Not yet, she said. But I was about to. Michael nodded slowly. I'd ask that you give us time to address this internally. Denise's voice stayed gentle, but firm. With respect, that time has already passed. Another silence. This one heavier than before. Outside, a stretcher rolled by. Life went on. It always did. Dr. Markham looked between them. Let's focus on Aaliyah tonight, she said. The rest will come. But Denise knew better. Because once truth surfaces, it doesn't wait patiently. And if you want communities to understand what was hiding, share this video so others can see. As Michael stepped out to make calls, Karen remained where she was, unsure where to stand. Her smile was gone now. And somewhere in the building, the footage was already being reviewed. Karen sat alone in the small conference room, hands folded so tightly her knuckles ached. The clock on the wall ticked. Loud. Deliberate. She had replayed the moment in her head already, what she said, how she said it. She told herself it was routine. That she'd seen hundreds like this. That she couldn't be wrong every time. But she hadn't seen the video yet. Down the hall, in a glass-walled office, Michael Reeves stood beside Dr. Markham as the security footage rolled. No sound at first. Just angles. Aaliyah standing. Smiling, trying to. Denise steady beside her. Karen leaning in. Gesturing. Turning away. Then the fall. The camera caught it cleanly. Aaliyah's knees folding. Her shoulder hitting the tile. The way Denise lunged forward before anyone else moved. Michael stopped the playback. How long before assistance? Dr. Markham checked the timestamp. 1 minute. 12 seconds. Michael exhaled through his nose. That's not acceptable. There's more, Dr. Markham said. She pulled up another clip. 6 weeks ago. Same desk. Different night. Different nurse, but Karen visible in the background, laughing with a colleague as Denise argued quietly, paperwork in hand. Michael watched in silence. That's a pattern, he said finally. Yes, Dr. Markham replied. And there's one thing I haven't told you yet. Michael turned. What's that? Dr. Markham folded her arms. Mrs. Brooks isn't just a parent. Michael frowned. Meaning? She's a compliance auditor, Dr. Markham said. For a regional hospital network. The room went still. She audits patient safety protocols, Dr. Markham continued. Especially bias-related failures. Michael stared at the screen again. You're certain? Dr. Markham nodded. She didn't announce it. She never does. That was the twist. Not revenge. Not exposure. Preparedness. Michael rubbed his forehead. So she documented everything. Every visit, Dr. Markham said. Dates. Names. Delays. Michael straightened. Then this isn't just an HR issue. No, Dr. Markham said. It's systemic. Down the hall, Karen was called in. She walked in carefully, eyes scanning the faces, the paused footage on the screen behind them. Michael didn't sit. Karen, he said, we reviewed the video. Karen nodded stiffly. I'd like to explain. Michael held up a hand. Before you do, I need you to answer one question. Karen swallowed. Okay. Were you aware, he asked, that Mrs. Brooks audits hospitals for compliance violations? Karen blinked. What? Michael let the silence answer. Karen's shoulders dropped slightly. Not in guilt. In realization. Dr. Markham spoke softly. This wasn't a setup. It was documentation. Karen's voice cracked. I didn't know. Michael nodded. That's the point. Karen looked at the screen again, at Aaliyah falling. For the first time, she looked like she understood what she'd done. And what it meant. Because when documentation meets policy, things change fast. The meeting didn't end with shouting. That surprised Karen most of all. Michael Reeves closed the laptop slowly. Karen, this review is no longer internal. Her head lifted. What do you mean? I mean, he said evenly, this triggers an external compliance notification. Dr. Markham added. Automatic. Based on thresholds. Karen's breath caught. Because of the video? Because of the pattern. Michael corrected. The video confirmed it. Karen looked down at her hands. They were shaking now. There's something else, Michael said. Mrs. Brooks submitted a preliminary report 3 weeks ago. Karen's eyes widened. Before tonight? Yes. Dr. Markham nodded. Tonight completed the record. Karen swallowed hard. So what happens now? Michael leaned back. Now the hospital must respond, formally. Training reviews? Policy audits. Patient follow-ups. Karen whispered. Am I being fired? Michael paused. That's not my decision alone. But the weight of it settled anyway. Cut to the observation room. Aaliyah slept now, breathing even. Color had returned to her cheeks. The tremor in her hands had eased. Denise sat beside her, phone finally dark. For the first time all night, she allowed herself to feel tired. Dr. Markham entered quietly. She's stabilizing, she said. Good signs. Thank you, Denise replied. Dr. Markham hesitated. You didn't have to tell me about your work. Denise smiled faintly. I wasn't planning to. Then why document so carefully? Denise looked at her daughter. Because dignity shouldn't depend on who's watching. Dr. Markham nodded. The external reviewers will be here within days. Denise raised an eyebrow. That fast? Yes, Dr. Markham said. And there's one more thing most people miss. She lowered her voice. This hospital just renewed its accreditation. Denise understood immediately. That meant leverage. Back in the conference room, Karen sat alone again. This time, the clock felt louder. She replayed the nurse training videos she'd skimmed. The patient rights posters she walked past every shift. She had been tired. Rushed. Certain. None of that mattered now. A knock on the door. Michael stepped in. Karen, he said. I need your badge. She unclipped it slowly. The click echoed. That sound, small, final, would stay with her. Meanwhile, an email went out to department heads. Subject line, immediate compliance review, neurology and triage. Denise never saw it. She didn't need to. Because the power had already shifted. Quietly. Completely. And once a system is forced to look at itself, it can't unsee what it finds. By morning, the hospital felt different. Not calmer. Not quieter. Careful. Staff spoke in lower voices. Clipboards moved with purpose. Posters that had faded into the walls suddenly seemed to matter again. Denise noticed it when she stepped out to get coffee. A nurse held the door open for her. Mrs. Brooks, she said, reading the wristband. How's Aaliyah doing? The nurse already knew the answer. She was asking anyway. Better, Denise replied. That's good to hear, the nurse said, and meant it. Down the hall, a small group gathered near the admin offices. Not patients. Administrators. Denise caught fragments as she passed. External reviewers confirmed, training gaps identified, effective immediately. The fallout had begun. A patient advocate named Linda Carver met Denise later that morning. Mid-50s. Calm voice. Notebook always open. I'm here to support you, Linda said. And to listen. Denise nodded. Then I'll start at the beginning. She didn't rush. She didn't embellish. She laid out dates, times, names. She showed the paperwork. The video. The notes she kept after every visit. Linda didn't interrupt. When Denise finished, Linda closed the notebook slowly. This is thorough, she said. And troubling. What happens next? Denise asked. Linda met her gaze. Policy changes don't happen overnight. But accountability does. That afternoon, Michael Reeves stood before a room of department leads. This is not about blame, he said. It's about standards. He paused. Let the words land. We failed the patient. And we were recorded doing it. No one argued. Karen Whitfield wasn't there. Her name wasn't spoken, but her absence filled the room. Training sessions were scheduled. Mandatory. Bias awareness modules reinstated. Triage escalation rules clarified and printed, large enough to be read from across the room. Most people complied quietly. A few pushed back. Dr. Markham shut that down fast. This isn't optional, she said. And it isn't theoretical. By evening, Denise's phone buzzed once. An email. Subject: Acknowledgement of patient experience body. We regret that your family experienced care that did not meet our standards. Denise read it twice. Not because it was perfect, but because it existed. Aaliyah woke as the sun dipped low. She stretched her fingers, surprised when they obeyed. Mom, she said. I can feel my foot again. Denise smiled. The kind that came from relief, not victory. Later, Dr. Markham returned with discharge plans. We'll follow up in clinic, she said. And thank you. For what? Denise asked. For making us look, Dr. Markham replied. That night, as Denise packed up, she noticed something taped near the triage desk. A fresh sign. White paper. Bold print. If you feel unheard, ask for an advocate. Denise stopped. Read it once. Then again. Systems didn't change because they wanted to. They changed because someone insisted. The discharge papers were thicker than last time. Denise noticed that right away. Not just instructions, explanations. Clear language. Names with direct numbers underneath. A follow-up plan that didn't feel rushed or vague. Dr. Markham walked them through it slowly. If symptoms return, you come straight in, she said. No waiting room delays. Aaliyah nodded, sitting up on the bed. She looked smaller now that the crisis had passed. 12 again. Will they think I'm pretending? She asked quietly. Dr. Markham didn't dodge it. No, she said. Not anymore. That mattered. As they rolled toward the exit, Denise felt eyes on them, not curious this time. Respectful. Careful. At the triage desk, a different nurse stood. Angela Morris, early 30s, calm eyes. She smiled at Aaliyah. Take care of yourself, okay? Aaliyah smiled back. A real one. Outside, the Seattle air felt damp and cool. The city moved on, cars, buses, people with places to be. Ordinary life. Denise loaded Aaliyah into the car and sat behind the wheel for a moment without starting it. I didn't like being there, Aaliyah said. But I'm glad we went. Denise nodded. Me too. They drove home in silence for a while. That night, Denise opened her laptop, not to post, not to share. To finish a report she'd started weeks earlier. She added one final entry. Outcome: patient stabilized. Incident acknowledged. Policy review initiated. She paused, then typed one more line. Note: child asked if she would be believed next time. Denise closed the laptop. The next week, a letter arrived. Printed. Signed. It outlined corrective actions. Training timelines. A formal apology, not just to them, but to patients affected by similar experiences. Aaliyah read it over Denise's shoulder. Does that mean it won't happen again? Denise chose her words carefully. It means it'll be harder for it to happen quietly. That was the truth. One afternoon, Aaliyah came home from school smiling. We learned about the nervous system today, she said. I raised my hand. Denise looked up. What did you say? I said sometimes bodies protect you in weird ways, Aaliyah replied. And that doesn't mean you're lying. Denise felt her throat tighten. Some lessons didn't come from textbooks. They came from being seen. 6 months later. The waiting room looked the same, but it felt different. Aaliyah noticed it first. The lights were softer. The chairs were spaced farther apart. A clean white sign near the desk read, Patient advocate available upon request. She sat with her backpack at her feet, swinging one sneaker. Her hands were steady today. Denise filled out the clipboard without rushing. When she handed it back, the nurse smiled and said, Thank you, Ms. Brooks. We'll be right with you. No sigh. No doubt. Aaliyah leaned in. Mom, she whispered. She said your name right? Denise smiled. They didn't wait long. Down the hallway, a new training poster hung where the old one used to be. Bigger font. Clear steps. One line stood out. Believe first. Verify with care. Inside the exam room, Dr. Markham greeted them warmly. They talked about school, triggers, plans, ordinary things handled with care. As they left, Aaliyah paused by the triage desk. She looked at the nurse working there, then at Denise. It's okay, Denise said softly. Aaliyah nodded and walked on. Outside, the air smelled like rain. Denise opened the car door, then stopped. What? Aaliyah asked. Denise touched the edge of her phone inside her purse. The same phone, the same case. She didn't take it out. She didn't need to. Somewhere behind them, policies had changed. Training had changed. People had changed. Not because of anger. Because of dignity and documentation. Aaliyah buckled her seatbelt. Mom? Yes, baby? Next time someone doesn't believe me, she said, I'll know what to do. Denise nodded. And you won't be alone. They drove off as the clouds broke just enough to let the light through. Quiet. Earned. Real. If this shocked you, comment seen below. Yendi, thanks for watching.